Hey everyone, it's Tyler and Michelle Stroik from Universal Rackets, and in this video we're going to be going over when you're up at the net whether you should hit a forehand or a backhand. At the beginner, intermediate, club level, even myself, I sometimes struggle with hitting with a forehand when I should hit a backhand or hit a backhand when I hit a forehand.
And then how to know to change between the two. So say if I hit a backhand, how do I come across and then hit a forehand for my next shot?
Yes, many players, they try to hit their backhands like this, or even their forehands like that. We're going to go over the proper forehand and backhand technique, when to know it's a backhand and when to know it's a forehand, and transitioning from a forehand to a backhand volley.
Yes.
When you're up at the kitchen, it's super close. The faster you hit it, the faster the ball is going to come back. You don't have time. You need to know this beforehand, because if you're constantly thinking, should I hit a forehand or a backhand, or you're in the wrong position, you're going to lose.
And you're going to miss a lot, and then you're going to start to get discouraged.
Now, the main thing that you want to think about when it's a forehand or a backhand to start off at the basic is the forehand is your dominant side and the backhand is your non-dominant side. So what that means is if you're a right-handed player, your dominant hand's your right hand. On this side's the forehand, on this side is the backhand. Now, you could do a one or two-handed backhand depending on what situation you're in. You're going to take a different shot. But in general, this side forehand, that side backhand. For a left-handed player, left side forehand, right side backhand. Now here's a rabbit hole that I went down personally, and I had to take a break from pickleball to have that habit go away, and now I'm starting to train myself again, is a lot of players say and coaches say, which is great advice to a certain degree or certain situation, is that you want to hit most balls at a backhand.
Right.
And what they mean by that is your forehand's over here, clearly, your backhand's over here, clearly, but what about when the ball comes to the middle of you? What should you do?
Backhand.
Show us.
I mean, for me though, I like to make a little space so that I have more comfort in hitting the backhand.
Okay.
So it could be a block backhand, it could be a swinging two-handed backhand.
And you make space.
Yes.
What if you can't make space though? What if you're just standing there and the ball's coming straight at you?
Just block it back.
You're gonna go show that again. So it's gonna be like that. It's always going to be a backhand volley. Now, like Michelle said, if you have space, you're going to move over, and that's one of your best shots, the two-handed backhand roll, and we just did a video about that because you're able to move away and hit that. Mm-hmm. But if you have no time, or if you're just picking up the game, if the ball comes directly at your chest, you want to take a backhand. Now, the most common misconception, or it only works to a certain degree, is you want to take most balls as your backhand and not a forehand. And what you mean by that at a beginner intermediate level is over here's the forehand, and then as soon as you get to about your dominant shoulder, backhand, 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 backhand. So 80% of your balls is going to be a backhand. Mm-hmm. Again, backhand over here, forehand over here, very clear. But anywhere from your dominant shoulder on is going to be a backhand. A great way to learn that is all you're going to do is like flex your muscle and go to the side. So again, this is going to be a backhand the whole time. But what happens though is then you automatically revert backhand, you start cheating backhand, and then someone goes over here, it's hard to go to a forehand.
Right.
And that's where I was going wrong. I was playing the left side, which you're a more dominant side. If you're playing the left side and you're a right-handed player, you're going to be getting a lot of middle ball forehands. And I was cheating backhand. So then some ball would come over here and I'd have to bring my paddle.
Or you would chicken wing.
Or I would chicken wing it every single time.
For no reason.
Yeah.
Well,
and
I guess the reason is the backhand mentality.
100%. And the thing is, what I learned, and even playing the past couple of weeks, is that if I'm on the right side, I can cheat backhand. But if I'm on the left side, that's when I want to move over and I want to hit a forehand. I want to cheat backhand only when I'm on the right side, not the forehand. So let's show that really quick. So what I mean by this is where I'm standing, if I'm on the right side, I can cheat backhand. Because why? Most of my shots are going to be to this side.
Right.
However, where I go wrong is I play on the left side. I'm not being dominant on the left side. And what I figured out, like very recently, is the reason why I'm not dominant on this side is because I'm still in this type of grip. Now, if the ball goes over here, I'm either going to have to chicken wing it or I'm going to be so late when I hit. So you only want to cheat to the backhand side when you're on the right side.
Right. And I noticed that a lot of new players, they get jammed is the word that I recognize. They get jammed, they get caught up, and their hands seem like they're not fast enough. And what they do is they just like go into meltdown mode and they just hit the ball however they can, wherever their paddle is, and of course they're gonna miss it into the net. So if you're missing into the net at the kitchen a lot, it's probably because you don't have the right mechanics to switch from backhand to forehand, to dinking to volleying? How can you give some advice to people to quickly get comfortable moving their paddle from forehand to backhand?
Well, I think the first thing is just making sure you're in the proper ready position.
And the ready position depends on where the ball is coming at you, right?
So why don't you talk about that?
Okay, so if I'm hitting a drive at Tyler and he's standing on this side and the ball is coming to his shoulder up here on the right, he is going to be able to take that ball as a forehand, because you see the ball's coming to your shoulder. You're going to want to hit it as a forehand and not as a backhand, because if you're trying to hit it as a backhand, you're going to be doing a chicken wing and you're just not going to have the right amount of time or the right point of contact with your paddle on the ball to hit a successful shot. So if it's coming to your left side, that is very much a backhand. And I see people who are right hand dominant uncomfortable with their backhand because it's a new shot, they're new to the game. So what they actually saw someone do it today. The ball was coming to her left side and she went like this to hit the shot. Like an around the back forehand, and it didn't work, and it's never gonna work. Instead, what she should have done was felt comfortable going from forehand to ready position to backhand and swing a volley, or even just block the volley back.
Or like you said, if you're more advanced, go back there again real quick. Like you mentioned, which I thought was great. I never even think about it, but you're so good as moving away, giving yourself space. So like one thing that you could do as well is, you know that anything on this side of your shoulder is going to be out. So what are you going to do? You're going to shift your body this way and then hit a forehand over here.
Yes.
That's more advanced though. If you know that someone's going to speed the ball up at you, you could shift and hit. And that's something that you do so well.
Yes.
And because you automatically revert to space. But if you can't revert to space, I think the number one thing that you spoke about was ready position, getting back to the proper ready position.
And knowing, like, it's kind of like if you're serving me the ball, I need to know before the ball crosses the net, is that going to be a forehand or a backhand return for me? Because I need to plan my next shot. So a lot of people don't think ahead that far or have enough experience in their court awareness and their body awareness of how to be before the ball gets to them.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like reacting instead of planning. You want to be
100%.
proactive, not reactive on the court.
And that all goes down to, again, the proper ready position, just making sure your paddle's out front. Because probably like these people that you saw, and I see it a lot as well, people hit the ball and then they'll just stop or have their paddle down. You don't have time to go all the way around here.
Right.
Another big thing, people flip the backhand wrong. You stay straight out. If you're hitting a backhand, all you're doing is just moving your paddle. This is a big thing as well. You're not moving your arm, your body. You're either here or you're over here.
It's almost like, think
You're
of like there's like a
here or
box in front of you, and your paddle should always be in that box.
Yeah.
Is the paddle straight in the box? Is the paddle over to this side? Because then it will be a forehand. Or is the paddle on this side of the box? Because then it will be a backhand. It should never come down out of the box. It should never be twisted around. It's kind of like a,
I like to think with my wrist,
like a
it's
laser,
like a,
right? Like,
or I like to think like when fish swim, you're moving your fishtail. You're never turning around. Like the fish goes like this.
Your wrist
it's either
shouldn't be
here
involved.
or here.
Because this is so
here.
basic. This is like, do I hit a forehand? Do I hit a backhand? I don't want to hear about your wrist. I don't want to hear about two hands or one hand even. It should just be forehand.
Yeah.
Is the ball coming to this side of the body? I hit it as a forehand. And a volley is going to be out of the air. A dink is going to be when it bounces. Or am I going to be hitting a backhand? One or two hands.
Yes.
And you need to look at your opponent to know what to do yourself. So it's kind of like you need to plan ahead. Now we can also talk about this, which I think is so just as important, is when you're back a little bit deeper in the court. So we can go back to the serve to explain it. Like if I serve the ball to your backhand, how do you hit a backhand drive? Because people are just tapping it over. They're just trying to get the ball on the other side of the court. They don't know how to hit a proper backhand.
Yeah.
Or a proper forehand.
And I think I got an Instagram comment on one of my drive videos, and the first thing that you need to do, and we can go over in this video, is you have to turn. And someone said in the comment, they're like, wow, I had a pro work with me, or my coach work with me, and they made me hit backhand drives open stance the whole time. So what I mean by that is they were hitting backhand drives like this the whole time. And they said that they insisted on doing that. And the reason why, I think, is if you don't come from prior racket sport experience, and even if you're a pickleball coach, it's going to be a foreign concept to you. The thing is that you have to be able to rotate your body. And being ready up at the kitchen, hitting a forehand or backhand volley is very different than hitting a forehand or backhand drive. You have to turn your body.
Right. And the reason I can bet you that the coach did that is because, like you said, they didn't come from tennis. And most, like again, 80% of your shots are going to be backhand. 80% of your shots are going to hit square in pickleball. You're going to be open in pickleball because when you're dinking, you're open. When you're resetting the ball in transition, you're open. The only time you really turn your body for a drive is when you're back here, because you really shouldn't be driving in transition, right, hon?
Yeah, and when you're driving, you have to make sure, or even in transition, before we get into that, in transition, you're open. Your body's facing forward. Your hips are facing forward. You're here. But any type of drive, you want to be here. It's
Right.
totally different. Think of it kind of like your serve. When you serve, you're sideways. Same thing for the drive.
Right.
And that's a big thing.
And I'm going to give you a very real life example today. What I saw was she didn't want to hit a backhand return because she just wasn't, I was never confident in my backhand when I first started playing pickleball. It's not easy to get confident in a backhand if you did not come from tennis or something else. What was happening was she was swinging the paddle like this. She was never coming up and having a follow through, and I think people do understand there should be a follow through and a drive, forehand and backhand. But what they're missing is the whole concept. They need a tennis lesson to say, this is how you hit a backhand. First, you turn your body, then 2, 3, 4, 5, and
Yeah.
5. The last thing is 5. The last thing is the follow through. So you can't just go from no idea what I'm doing, no idea, and then just a follow through. You have to get all of these important checkpoints in to hit a successful drive, forehand and backhand.
And another thing I think when you did that motion is like, if you're up at the kitchen and you're just picking up the game with a pickleball, yes, up at the kitchen, volleys and everything requires legs, but you can make the ball to a certain degree by just using your whole arm. Now, if you
Right.
want to get better, you're going to have to learn get into your legs, drop down, get power off of it. Footwork, things like that. But when you're up at the kitchen, you can play pickleball by just using your arm. So if I'm playing pickleball by just using my arm at the kitchen, why can't I just use my arm back at the baseline?
And you can just use your arm, but you're never gonna get past that level. And that's where
Then you're just
pickleball
gonna,
is
like,
kind of
powder
like
puff the ball.
you're like falling on your own sword because you're like, well, I finished the game. Okay, well, any grandma can finish the game, but if
Yeah.
you want to get better and you're getting frustrated on your misses, start to become a student of the game. And here is where you're going to learn all the checkpoints to hit a successful shot.
And why is it different from the kitchen back to the baseline?
Because when you're back at the baseline, you have that many more seconds. You have way more time when you're back here. The closer you get to the kitchen, you only have like 1
You
second.
do have way more time and you have way more distance that you have to cover.
So why not use it to your advantage and use all of the concepts that we're going to give you here to hit a powerful, accurate shot with spin and just a great shot.
So just turning your body is the number one thing. So for the backhand, when I turn, I want my body sideways and I want my paddle back, and then I'm going to hit the ball. For the forehand, I want my body sideways and my paddle back, and then I'm going to hit the ball. Up at the kitchen, forehand volley, backhand volley. Chest, hips are square, and I'm moving my paddle. Back at the baseline, forehand ground stroke, backhand ground stroke, I'm moving my body and I'm taking my paddle back. There's 2 steps of the turn. Number 1 is your body and number 2 is your paddle.
Right.
If you don't have that, it's never going to be good.
Yeah, this will get the ball over, but if you want to do it right, turn, paddle back, and then we step to the ball. We make contact out in front of us, and then we follow through, right?
And what's the big thing that you did before you made contact? You stepped.
Yes.
And that's another big thing. Your feet, your footwork, it's all incorporated in the ground stroke compared to the actual volley.
Mm-hmm.
Now, clearly, when you're up at the transition, then you're going to set and then you're going to block the ball back.
Maybe not clearly to everybody. Maybe not clearly to everybody.
But think, the further back you are, the more you want to use your feet and rotation. The closer up you are, the less you want to use your feet and rotation,
right,
and more of your arm.
And you really, to be honest with you, should probably not be taking a drive in transition because, like we said, you don't have all the time to do all the fancy things that we were doing back here, especially if they're hitting an aggressive shot at your feet. You don't have time to turn, step, bring your paddle back, follow through. So you're going to be doing more resetting in transition.
Yeah.
To be safe.
So why don't we get a couple balls and show them
Okay.
how to do it. So we'll do a couple backhands first, and we'll show you exactly where players go wrong. So they're looking like this. They're here, they're going to hit, they're not turned, and they just use their whole arm. Did I get that ball over the net? Yes. But did it have any power? No. What I want to do is take my body sideways, paddle back, and swing. Or if I do a two-hand, take my body sideways, paddle back, and swing. Same thing for the forehand. They're standing like this, straight ahead, They go and they hit and they just use their arm. I'm not turned. I'm never going to be able to hit a big ball. If I do swing really hard, it's going to go long. What I need to do is turn my body sideways, take my paddle back, and then swing forward again. Body sideways, paddle back, and then I'm swinging forward when I hit. Now, when we go up to the kitchen, it's going to be very different. And what I mean by that is now our body's not turning sideways, but what we're doing is we're angling our paddle. Like Michelle said, you want to keep it in the box. Also, I like to think it's like a metronome thing that you use for music. 1, 2, 1, 2. So if I have a backhand, I'm going to hit over here. So I'm going to move my paddle, and then I'm going to swing forward. If I have a forehand, I'm going to go over here and move my paddle and swing forward. And you're going to swing forward here. The big thing about this, though, is notice I didn't move my paddle once I'm done. I didn't force it to get here. It's just because I do it so many times, that's muscle memory. I always end up in the middle, and that's the big thing. So then I can go to the forehand or the backhand. Again, I'm always keeping the paddle out in front of me. I'm never turning my wrist, and that's where players go wrong. Is there anything else that you want to add for that?
No, I just want to do a little recap here. So when you're at the kitchen, it's exactly everything he just said. You're going to be square to the court, and you're going to do everything out in front. This is it. Then when you move back in transition, you're going to think more, oh, my brain's in reset mode. They're going to hit the ball probably at my feet here, and a lot of people will miss these shots because they don't know how to hit a reset or a drop. Reset and drop is the same thing. You're trying to neutralize the ball in your opponent. So if I'm here, I'm going to be hitting a reset. Now when I get back to this area, if the ball is coming at my feet, like a return, a serve, a return of serve, a deep drive, this is where you have the time to turn your body, drop your paddle, and hit the ball with a follow through. So just understand, drive, lots of time, get fancy with it back here. Here, you're trying to survive and you just want to reset the ball. And then when you're at the kitchen, this is everything out in front, forehand this side, backhand this side, and don't do anything fancy.
And go back there real quick. Like when Michelle gets power, a huge thing about this shot, about this drive is like her power and her follow through. It's turned sideways. She's not forcing her arm to go here. It's because she is rotating her hips, and her hips are, you look so pretty today, by the way.
Thanks.
Her hips are going sideways, and then she's fully following through. The hips and the rotation is what is getting the paddle here. It's not just upper body.
Or squeezing the paddle and hitting it it's all just let it go, swing it.
And I think that's the main difference between like intermediate or like high level, like 4-0, 4-5 pickleball and 5-0, 5-5 pickleball is using your legs and getting into it. And understand like the legs and everything, that does all the work. It's not your upper arm, it's not your upper body, it's your rotation.
It's not how strong you are.
It's your legs. And it doesn't matter
about
that.
Your form.
And that's why when you see pros hit, they look so big, they can hit such a big ball. They don't really look that strong, not all of them. Some of them are super short or skinny because what? They're rotating their body properly. And if you rotate your body, you can have more power than you ever had before.
Yeah.
So next time you're on court, again, remember, not only, number one, it all starts out with being in the proper ready position. Having your paddle out in front. When you're up at the kitchen, you're either moving here or here. You're not flipping it. You're thinking of a fish, you're thinking of a metronome. When you're in the transition zone, clearly you want to be more square. But as the further back you get, the more that you're going to hit the ball in the bounce, hit a drive. You want to turn your body sideways and take that paddle back so you can allow yourself to fully rotate throughout your shot rather than arming it just like you are up at the kitchen.
And if you find yourself missing shots back here, yes, think, oh my gosh, did I follow through on that shot? And when you think, did I follow through, say, oh my gosh, Michelle and Tyler talked about there's so many other things that go on with the ground stroke. And maybe come back and watch this video and learn. Secondly, think, did I turn my body? Did I step? Did I drop the paddle? And then did I follow through?
Yeah.
So you can practice that. And the best way to practice is to drill. How do I work on this? Have Tyler over there hit me a bunch of drives. We hit drives back and forth for 20 minutes. We're sweating, we're getting a great workout, and then it becomes part of your game. You don't have to question everything.
And that's a big thing. Practice the same shot over and over again. Get someone to feed balls to you, hit balls to you, and just continually work on that shot, because the more you work on it, practice makes permanent and you'll get more muscle memory.
As long as you're practicing it the right way.
Yes. Any other remarks?
No, that's it.
I think we're good. Last thing is, we've been playing with these paddles, these True Foam carbon pickleball paddles. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
I feel like, where have you been in my life?
I like the 3.
I like the 1 personally. The 1 has so much power. The 3 I feel like is a little bit more forgiving.
Yeah.
Both great paddles. They have a 2, which is a bigger paddle, more surface area, just as good as well. Good feel, good spin.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with this paddle. I
really
just feel
like
like I have to drill with it a little bit more. We have a code UNIVERSAL. Once again, code UNIVERSAL. If you enter the code UNIVERSAL at checkout, I think you'll get 10 to 15% off your purchase. So make sure to go Carbon Pickleball or carbon.com. Use our code UNIVERSAL. Check out these amazing True Foam pickleball paddles, the hottest new technology on the market. And we will see you guys next time on court. If this really helps you, the best way to support this channel is to share it to the Facebook group, share it to your pickleball group chat, and have people hit better forehands, backhands, and volleys. I want you to do that, like, subscribe, and share with a friend, and we'll see you guys next time on court.